The job of overseeing the dinner and dance for 200 guests at Frogmore House has been given to Premium Mode, the events company set up by Fawcett and of which Charles is its most lucrative client. Entrusted with organising his private entertaining. Harry and William are said to distrust Fawcett since the days when their mother Diana warned them that the ambitious flunkey was poisoning the well against her, having taken Charles's side during the couple's acrimonious divorce. Bromley-born Fawcett, 55, began his royal service as a footman, rising to be Charles's valet, becoming so indispensable that the prince once said, "I can manage without just about anyone, except for Michael." He fell from grace when 3 of the prince's staff complained about his bullying attitude and he resigned. Within a week, however, he was reinstated and promoted. 5 years later he was forced out when an inquiry found he had sold off gifts presented to Charles, but, after he quit, the prince rewarded him with £500,000 in severance pay, retaining his services as a party planner. Fawcett then demonstrated a natural flair for organising lavish soirees, such as Camilla's 60th birthday party. Besides running Premium Mode with his wife Debbie, Fawcett is also in charge of Dumfries House, the Scottish stately home rescued by the prince. Earlier this year he was promoted to chief executive of the Prince's Foundation, which oversees Charles's philanthropic efforts. In his biography of the prince, Tom Bower states that Fawcett has become Charles's Rasputin, empowered to outflank everyone at court, and that the Queen disapproves of his influence and cringes when Fawcett's name is mentioned. Prince Charles has hired the company of Michael Fawcett to oversee dinner and dance preparations. Don't always believe what you see is the message that Vanessa Kirby is keen to convey to young girls who may be overly impressed by images of their idols. The 30-year-old actress who played Princess Margaret in the first 2 series of Netflix's The Crown, Helena Bonham Carter, it's just been revealed, will take over the role in Series 3, says even her closest friends have been awestruck by photo shoots they've seen of her. "I was like, but that's one of the best makeup artists in the world making up my face. It's also one of the best photographers taking the picture, and it has been airbrushed to bits." Yet those are all the images we see and we think that's what we should strive for, but it's not normal. The Wimbledon-born doctor's daughter says she is still particularly sensitive to how she is perceived, airbrushed or not, having been bullied badly at her primary school. "I was emotionally sensitive. I don't think I was very cool." Incidentally, Vanessa has confirmed that the Queen is a fan of The Crown, watching it with the Countess of Wessex on cosy Saturday evenings at Windsor Castle. As first revealed here, Miss Kirby says that Princess Eugenie had been overheard saying her granny, the Queen, really liked the series. But the actress added, "We've heard that Philip doesn't watch it. He can't be bothered." How poignant that on the day of the royal wedding the Audi convertible used by Princess Diana to drive Harry and William around in the summer of 1994 is due to be sold. The green cabriolet was originally loaned to Diana following her divorce and she put 4,000 miles on its clock. Since then, the Audi has been through 3 owners and is to be auctioned with a guide price of £62,000. Matt Priddy, of Auctioneers Historics, says, "It's an exceptional piece of motoring history, all the more so as it comes to market on Harry's wedding day. The birth of Prince Louis has stirred Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen to preen over his royal connections, not least because the baby was born in the same hospital, St Mary's Paddington, where the designer first flounced into the world. And both my daughters were at the same school, Marlborough, as the Duchess," boasts the frilly-sleeved flaneur. "I've bumped into Harry a lot, and Charles and Camilla are neighbours in Gloucestershire, so they're forever popping over to borrow more gin." Actually, he admits he is not a favourite with one royal, Prince Philip, whom Lawrence, 53, encountered recently at a meeting at Buckingham Palace where, years ago when he was a trainee, LLB had worked on some flooring in one of the drawing rooms. Philip was irritable and we really didn't know what to talk about. So I said, "You probably don't know this, but years ago, I designed these floors." And he looked down and went, "HMM. Never liked them." That killed the conversation. Really? Getty. Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen has told of his royal encounters following the birth of Prince Louis. The broadcaster Jeremy Vine has been reminiscing about his childhood in a church-going household in Surrey. When I was 15 and listening to the Sex Pistols, my dad used to say, "Turn that racket down and do your homework." Now I'm in my 50s, and my daughter tells me, "Turn that racket down, I'm trying to do my homework." Young Jeremy was happy to join his parents at church until he hit his teens and discovered punk rock and became angry at everything. "Unfortunately, my parents bore the brunt of my ire. I don't think I really started to grow up until I went to university and discovered poetry and books. And, of course, I realized how much I loved my parents." With John Berco's future as Speaker looking shaky, it may not be too long before his excitable wife Sally is freed from the shackles of Westminster and can publish her audacious novel. Saucy Sally has been obliged to maintain a low profile after a series of embarrassments, including an affair with Alan Berco, a cousin of her husband, and an appearance on Celebrity Big Brother. Oxford-educated Sally, 48, has been waiting for John to vacate the Speaker's chair before releasing her political thriller, which she has promised to be a take on Parliament. A friend of Mrs. B reports, she is busting to get this book published. It will be her revenge against all the pompous bigots she has encountered at Westminster. Known as Long Tall Sally, as she towers over her petite, petulant hubby, her own antics would make a rumbustious book. She has been frank about the drunken one-night stands she had when she was single and has purred provocatively about the power of politics as an aphrodisiac. Lord Kenneth Baker is well placed for a tell-all on the Conservative Party. As a former party chairman, Kenneth Baker knows who were the naughty ones among the Tories. So he was ideally placed to have written a book on the 7 deadly sins: pride, anger, sloth, envy, avarice, gluttony and lust. The 2 sins that particularly intrigue Lord Baker, 83, are lust and gluttony, as he told me at the book's launch at the Athenaeum Club. On Temptations of the Flesh he said, "Who would have thought that Harvey Weinstein's gropings would lead to the resignation of 2 cabinet ministers, Michael Fallon and Damian Green? As for gluttony, we now have obese children and adults with great paunches and sagging breasts, as millions watch cooking programs and magazines are full of the most delicious recipes." As for politicians, he observes, they need to be more vigilant, for the world today is full of alluring temptations. Looking back on all the stars he has photographed, David Bailey, 80, considers Sir Michael Caine one of the trickiest. "The thing about Michael was that you never had a conversation with him, you listened to him," sniffs the grizzled Bailey. "It's always been a monologue and it's always monotone. A lot of people get like this after they become famous, but Caine was like this before he was famous, and the only subject he wanted to talk about was himself." On holiday in the Arctic, Bill Bailey, 54, was overawed by a visit to a glacier. "I ran my hands over the smooth, clear ice walls that curved and swirled around. I stood in silence, taking it all in. Then the stillness erupted with the familiar sound. My phone bleeped into life. It was a text message from my chemist in London telling me my asthma prescription was ready." Catherine Drysdale's portrayal is a much-needed break from royal fever. Even the most ardent monarchist might be feeling prenuptial overload with a deluge of documentaries on Harry and Meghan, so thank goodness for the prospect of a less reverential view from the Channel 4 show The Windsors, to be shown 4 days ahead of the wedding. This satirical view of the royal romance will focus on the culture clash between the brash American Markle clan, led by her dreadlocked, nose-ringed mother Doria, and our own, more staid royals. In the middle, of course, is Meghan, played by Catherine Drysdale, who uses every opportunity to remind everyone that she was in the American legal TV drama Suits of Meghan. Mississippi Drysdale, 36, says, she still sees herself as a humanitarian. She's very much in her own world. There's a sweetness to her which is nice,